a mental health NFT gated app. I started getting into the gameplay of it. As I was in it, I was like, wait, this is maybe really brilliant. So I'm super excited to talk about it today. It's called Betwixt. So with that, let's get into it. So this app officially released a little over a week ago, and I didn't get into the gameplay until last night. And I wish I got into it earlier because I was having a dark night of the soul about 2 nights ago. So that was a good thing for me to do. Because as I was getting into the gameplay, I was like, man, I'm really having a chill out moment here going through this.
Okay.
I'm super intrigued by what is going on here. The thing that's interesting about this is who is behind it. So let's talk about her first. So this is Hazel Gale, who I didn't know until I started researching the founder behind this. And she is a former world champion kickboxer. Now, that's near and dear to my heart because when I was a teenager, I got really into kickboxing, and I found if you've ever practiced any MMA, mixed martial arts stuff, or kickboxing, taekwondo, and like really anything in the martial art, you'll discover just how meditative it really is, and it always centered me, and it became very addicting, and it's a lifelong passion of mine that even just talking about it right now, I'm like, I want to go do it. Just totally brings you back into your body if you've got like a mind-body disconnect thing going on. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I speak for myself and a lot of other people I know who just have a hard time being in their body sometimes. I know it's weird, but hey, we're all here in Web3 on the internet, and I feel like I'm probably talking to an audience that knows what I'm talking about. Because I got into the internet because I was like so in my head all the time. Like, I gotta go distract myself. What's interesting about her story is that she overtrained and ended up with a chronic fatigue syndrome and had to take a step back from being a professional athlete and got into hypnotherapy, which has profound effects on your mental health. And she ended up getting certified as a hypnotherapist. And she's been doing this, I think, for over a decade now, like as a hypnotherapist. And her hypnotherapy background got her back into the game. She went on to win like a bunch of titles and stuff. So I think it's really interesting, the founder behind this, her story. And if you come on her website here, you can learn some more about her and hear about her titles. But she also is the author of 2 books that I'm dying to read now after reading her story. One is called The Mind Monster Solution. It's got great reviews. The other one, Fight, Win Freedom from Self-Sabotage. She seems like a
pretty stand-up lady.
Yeah, pretty knowledgeable person on mental health and especially like sports psychology. Dive into NFT space with this background is so intriguing to me. And anyway, once I found that out, I found that out after going through the app for the first time, and I was like, oh wait, actually, this is amazing. This goes behind this. So that's a little bit about one of the founders. The other co-founder is, I'm gonna totally screw up her name. Elitsa. Eliza? You think that's how you say that? Eliza? I don't know. I'm gonna try it. Dermendzhiyska. No, there's no way I got there. Anyway, she has a background talking about attachment theory, which if you're not familiar with what attachment theory is, I'll link this article from The Guardian down below. She wrote it. Attachment theory talks about how perhaps our reactions in our everyday relationships are trauma responses to things that happen to us in early childhood based on either like things that happen around our parents or other people that caused us to have a variety of different dark places in our mind, whether it be like a rejection trauma or a abandonment trauma or a feeling unseen. I forget what that one's called, like trauma of being neglection trauma. This kind of explains where a lot of personality disorders might be coming from. And as far as I can tell, the world of psychology is trying to step back a little bit from being insistent on putting people in a box like, oh, this person has borderline personality disorder, this person has whatever. Like, it's just a stigmatizing thing to do. And it's not really helpful for anybody who might have a personality disorder who doesn't know why they have it and is trying to get over it. So reframing those things as maybe you have an attachment trauma, and there have been amazing things now in the psychology world about getting over these traumas and like changing your attachment style. It's totally a thing. So like you can heal from these things. That's a little bit of a background about the credentials behind the co-founders. Let's get into what the heck this thing is. They describe it as a playable immersive NFT that helps you befriend the voice in your head. My experience playing this so far, I've only been through 2 of the games out of 11, which they are going to take us through on this journey, is that it's like a choose your own adventure that gets you into a relaxed state and makes you question yourself and what kind of choices you would make in certain scenarios as you're like going through this narrative. They say relax into it when you're doing it and to follow your intuition and your gut and not overthink anything or try to beat the game because there's no winning here. And it's collecting information about you to give back to yourself at the end of game play so you can understand what is going on inside of the labyrinth of your mind, essentially, which is blowing my mind to do.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of footage of the game that I took. As you can see, the way it looks really simple, but it's actually very immersive in a way that I haven't thought to do before. So it feels like you're reading text messages coming through, but it gets you into that imaginative story state of mind that you get when you're reading like a fiction novel.
Yeah.
And then you get to a place where there's a choose your own adventure choice that you have to make, which will make you sit there and be like, what would I do in this scenario? So it's a little bit of a challenge to get through. And they also preface in their Discord and on their site that it could stir up some dark emotions in you as you're going through it. And there's like an SOS up in the corner of the app in case you need to like call a mental health hotline. Hell yes. So that's interesting. And I don't feel like at this point in the game I've gotten anywhere super dark. Today's challenge did get me. I don't want to give anything away either because I think it's fascinating to just go through without knowing what to expect. I did have a few moments of like anxiety answering the questions. Like, I don't know what to say to that. It's working, I think. And the other thing that's really cool about this is the audio track as you're reading, which is something I've never experienced. So since it's like a text message book coming through, the audio, they recommend you put on headphones with it, is synced, which makes total sense because one of the founders came from a hypnotherapy background. They can use like audio to get you into relaxed states and whatnot. So the audio is supremely good. It's like fascinating. I've never read a book along with an audio experience in this way. Maybe that's a lie. Maybe there was like an old book from childhood where I like pressed some sound as I was reading, but adult version now. I think this is really intriguing so far. It is still available to mint on their website. So if you come in here and click on this mint button, as of right now, there are 818 sold and out of 1,777 items, and it's still minting at 0.07, so not too bad. They are also available on the secondary market, and I will link to the OpenSea down in the description box if you want to either mint, and if you're watching this sometime later and the mint is sold out, you can always get on OpenSea. The thing that's cool about the experience is that as you are going through answering everything and finding out, discovering about yourself, and the artwork that of the NFT starts to morph into something unique to your brain and personality. And it continues to evolve as you go through the game. Cool. But if you went through everything and you have your art piece and you want to sell your NFT on OpenSea, it will restart for the next person so that your like image gets blown up essentially, and the next person can go through the experience without having your experience. Yeah, exactly. But it also saves the information that you acquired through their website, which is an interesting experience. This is a little bit of a hybrid Web 2 and Web 3 experience. So you download the NFT and you get like an account made on the website, and it feels like an app on your phone. It's really a very seamless experience. I can't tell that I'm on a website and not in an app. And it retains the information in your account on their site linked to the NFT that you use to unlock your account. So that's how those two things are linked, if that made sense, what I just said. There's some other really cool things that you get utility-wise in this app. There are meditation tracks are released after every chapter that you go through, and you can get to those in their Discord, and that's just like a free extra freebie thing. They have support inside of the Discord, so I have been chatting a little bit with the founder, and she is very active in the Discord, asking everybody about the game experience, and she is encouraging us to tell our stories of how we felt going through things. So we're like this communal experience going through each of the different quests. After each chapter that you go through, there's also extra resources that get released. So like I did one of the chapters today that was released today, and the extra resources haven't been released yet. So it's a little bit of a mystery as you're going through it. What was the point of that story? And then you find out later, like what those questions and the narrative journey really was trying to pull out of you, and you can reflect on it. And then they're also giving like journal prompts for self-reflection, which have been, I'm trying to like really do the whole experience. So I've been doing them, and they are very tough to answer, but easier after you've gone through the narrative. So I think it would be harder for me to answer the journal prompts had I not felt like I was in this story where I'm a character, almost looking at myself from a third person point of view instead of so in my head as like a first person character. So it's just a very fascinating concept. It's easier to look at yourself from an outside perspective, but to get there, you have to see yourself outside of yourself, which is what the narrative is essentially doing. Now that I mention that, I do want to bring up a quote from inside the Discord that the human mind is built for narrative. It's how we find meaning, join the dots, and understand the world. As children, we learn through storybooks and role playing. Then as we grow older, we get better at story seeking. So good that we start to project stories of personal meaning onto everyday situations and the simplest of things that we do. We even make stories out of the thoughts we think and the feelings we feel. And for some reason, that just clicked with me. And then there was like a quote in here from The Storytelling Animal, which is a book that says, fiction is an ancient virtual reality technology that specializes in simulating human problems, which is my understanding of even like the works of Shakespeare, that they tell different narratives of cautionary tales, basically, of things that can happen to you. Isn't that what the point of storytelling is? Why we like to read and watch movies, just to experience somebody else's joys or mistakes or whatever. So to put yourself into a story this way, to explore your own mind, fascinating. Yeah, so here's some examples of some of the evolving generative art. Really cool.
Oh, wow.
And then here's the team behind the project. Again, this is Hazel Gale. There's some links in here. A lot of the information that I'm pulling from about her came from this gamesindustry.biz article, which I'll link below in the description box, as well as links to her books if you're interested in learning more about them. The co-founder, whose name I shall not try again, who is a science writer. I think this team is really interesting too. So like this guy is a former rank #1 in World of Warcraft. So the super talented gamer who is doing the software dev. So amazing. Another female software dev. This team is just so cool. Another guy software dev, and the musician behind it, who's a classically trained composer and a lawyer by day. I just think this team is so interesting. And then we've got the artist here. And again, I'm not even trying anybody's names because they're outside of my vocabulary. That I can't make a fool of myself like that on the internet. Sorry. Anyway, they're here. These are the names. Yeah, if you want to get into this, again, here's OpenSea. I'll link that below, and also their Twitter page as well. And yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that this is wildly fascinating, and I have one and I haven't started any of the quests, but I am jazzed to spend some time really getting into this. It's very cool.
Yeah, and I feel like more people need to know. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
talk about this project because I think it's very innovative. And I think that there's a lot to discover still in mental health. And one of the founders of their theses was just that most mental health apps have a retention problem. Like people drop off after there's only like 3 to 4% of users actually stick around for them. And the whole purpose of this is to pull you into a story, like gamifying mental health. So you stick with it and you actually go through the process and you don't just drop off, which I think is the right move. And I like that idea. And again, props to the team. I think this is cool. They've been working on it since 2019. I forgot to mention that as well. So this is not something that was like a quick thing that they just whipped up in the NFT gold rush of the past year. No, this is like something that has had a lot of thought, time, and effort over years now to bring to the light. I hope I introduced you guys to something cool and fascinating. And if it interests you, do go check it out. And also, if you enjoy this sort of content about NFTs and Web3, subscribe to our channel. We try to avoid anything that isn't super interesting. I guess that's debatable. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. We're not trying to tell you guys about the latest pump and dump. So if you want to find some hidden gems and cool, innovative things happening in the space, and also once in a while we do make some jokes in here, subscribe and find us on social media. Say hi, be friendly. We appreciate you being here. And until next time,
on to the next.
On to the next. On to the next quest.
Yes.
Ciao.
Bye.